Hi, so back with Ms. Ross, and we're here to finish up the last part of the coaching cycle, which is the improve stage. And we wanted to go through and hit that checklist in terms of what you want a Gemini to help you do. So there were 4 phases: prompt, or before I prompt, the actual prompt, the creating my lesson components, and the human in-loop review. In other words, making sure that it sounded like yourself. In terms of your objective was to have students will be able to trace the path of carbon and nitrogen through the ecosystem and explain how human activity affects these cycles. Your actual prompt ended up being: act as an engaging high school biology teacher, generate a lesson plan for generate an outline for a unit for biogeochemical cycles, mainly carbon and nitrogen. Your context: my students are interested in climate change and human impact, so please ensure the content connects the science to these real world issues. The format: please provide a hook as a short script that I can read to the class to open the lesson, and provide a key vocabulary in a 3-column table with word definition and real world examples. Example of that teacher script, and we won't read all of it. It says, all right, everyone, listen to the person that's sitting to you. Take a deep breath in and let it out. You just participated in a cycle that has been going on for billions of years. But here's the crazy part. The carbon atom you just exhaled might be the exact same carbon atom that was once a part of the T-Rex or a piece of a coal burned in a factory during the Industrial Revolution. And then component 2, we have a list of 6 vocabulary words that they were given: biogeochemical cycle, carbon sink, combustion, nitrogen fixation, eutrophication, and denitrification. Part 3, as well as part of the big 3, you have your DOK 3 questions, your DOK questions, which are labeled DOK 1 through level 4 with 2 apiece. And then finally, your human in loop review just asks, does this match my objective? And you stated yes. Given to me by Gemini meets my objective, covering 2 biogeochemical cycles of carbon and nitrogen. Another question says, is it in my voice? The assignment has been, and you said the assignment has been modified to sound as if it come directly from me. And finally, 1 or 2 things you will edit to make this perfect for my students. In order to make this perfect for my students, I will provide feedback from the assignment to help better them in their growth and development. Okay, now we're going to take a look at some student data. So what I did was I showed you the rubric that I was going to use to assess the students based on the assignment. And the rubric broken down by system mechanics, interdependence, human impact, and visual modeling. We made some modifications to visual modeling for the sake of time. And instead of actually having them draw and label the actual cycles, we did it in terms of vocabulary, which could be seen in the assignment. All right, so you did have some level 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. So we have a little bit of data to look at. So starting with, real quickly, looking at the total amount of students you had in class. Total amount of students you had in class was 20 students. We had 4 level 4 students, 3 level 3 students, 7 level 2 students, and 6 level 1 students. And so I will attach just a few of those so you can see what I collected from at least one of those students each given time. Okay, now moving on to my observation of you directly. I also showed you the rubric that I'll be sharing with you. And part of that was in terms of the PTCL framework. The persona in this case was the learner. The task was the activity. The format was the delivery. And the context, I skipped over the context, was the relevance. And within this activity, or within this entire lesson, because I did a 30-minute observation, and you covered everything pretty nicely within 30 minutes. I rated your persona, the learner. I was rated as a level 3. And that's simply because, as it states, the lesson creates access points for general student grade level. The educator addresses common questions about the cycles and ensures that vocabulary is accessible. You did go back and refer to the vocabulary quite often. You also make sure that the students had access to that vocabulary by being posted to the board, as well as it being in their notebooks. In terms of the task, the activities were, I rated you a level 3 for that as well. Activities are hands-on or active. The science is accurate, and the students can correctly identify key stages of the cycle, such as perhaps what a carbon sink is or what nitrogen fixation was. All your activity was that exactly. Students were able to engage with each other in terms of asking for help if they needed to. Context, I rated you a 3 for that as well. The educator gives examples of these cycles, where these cycles appear in nature, and mention human impact, such as burning fossil fuels. You definitely did a great job of that. I think the students actually did a great job of that as well, because they were able to piggyback. You did a great job in explaining nitrogen fixation and how decomposers are a key component in nitrogen fixation. And then finally, the format, the delivery, I gave you a 3 for that as well. The lesson flows logically. Visual aids such as slides and handouts are clear. The pacing allows students to complete the work. So you didn't have to spend so much time teaching that the students didn't have an opportunity to finish the work. They had a little time to work on it, which is also pertinent as well. Okay, so moving on to criterion 4. As we meet, so again, I wanted to go back over the data that we found. So out of the 4 levels, you had 4 students at mastery, that was 24%. You had 3 students at proficient, that was 15%. You had you had 7 students at level 2, which is approaching, which is 35%. And you had 6 students at emerging, which is 30%. The one goal that we wanted to have in mind, we wanted to have 80% of our students reaching proficiency level 3 or 4. And unfortunately, we only had 35% altogether. So my suggestion that we go back and we make adjustments. In terms of the gap process and monitoring process, the gap analysis, I apologize. So in terms of gaps A, system mechanics, students struggled to order the steps, placing combustion before photosynthesis in some cases. Others were confused about the chemical formulas for carbon dioxide and nitrogen. I see that you put a reflection. You said, did the vocabulary table Gemini generated cover these specific thoughts clear enough? And you said that you felt like they did not cover it. And interdependence, the observation was that students viewed the cycle as a line, not as a loop. They couldn't explain why the cycles break without decomposers. And that was more so related to the nitrogen cycle, especially. And so your reflection, you asked, did my hook script emphasize the closed loop nature of the system enough? And you said you felt like you did not. In terms of gap C, the human impact, the now what factor, the observation students could identify pollution, but couldn't propose a specific solution. Your reflection, you asked, did the assignment provide enough scaffolding for them to brainstorm solutions? And your response to that was no, you could have added more opportunities for them to brainstorm possible solutions for that. And then finally, the Gemini editing, auditing, refining the strategy. How did our PTCF prompt support hinder or help our lesson? Do we need to change how we use AI? Some questions that you posed for persona. Did the engaging high school teacher voice resonate, or was the hook too cheesy? One thing I suggest to you is that you actually might need to tweak it up a little bit. The task was the assignment, the Adams diary aligned to the rubric. The action, I can definitely tell you that the task was aligned, but perhaps we need the more visual aids next time. So I think we needed to, I think because of the sake of this, we didn't have enough time. But overall, I think had we had that opportunity to work with more visuals, it would have been spot on. And then finally, in terms of context, did Gemini understand the student misconceptions? My actions, I would say next time I think you should explicitly tell Gemini students confuse the carbon cycle with the water cycle, just to make sure that they are on point, or maybe whatever the task is that you notice that was the issue. Okay, so on to the coaching impact and the next steps log. All right, in terms of data summary, strategy implemented was to use Gemini to generate hook scripts and vocabulary tables for biogeochemical cycles. The student learning goals, students will create diagrams and explanations showing the connection between human impact and natural cycles. Again, first we starting off with the carbon and nitrogen cycle. The results, 35% of students met or exceeded proficiency, which is level 3 or higher. The success, students demonstrated high understanding of system mechanics. Gap identified, a significant portion of level 2 students struggle with the interdependence. They view the cycle as linear rather than a closed loop. The pivot, so what we're going to do in terms of conforming the direction. We're going to refine the current topic. So what I stated was to address the gap in interdependence. Ms. Ross will implement a peer review session. In terms of level 3 students, we'll partner with level 2 students to audit their diagrams, specifically for the loop connection. And then we'll also make an adjustment to the AI strategy. We learned that while Gemini is great for definitions, we need to specifically prompt it for analogies to help with conceptual understanding for future lessons. So where do we go from here? I gave created a table for you. Apply strategy to new topic. So use the same PTCF prompts and strategy to generate materials for the phosphorus cycle. Who is responsible? Yourself. The timeline, we'll set that timeline for 2 days from now. Modify the prompt. Add a request for the real world analogies to prompt context to fix the interdependence gap. Who's responsible? We'll sit down and work on that together. We'll do that for the planning period for tomorrow to get that ready. And then finally, a check-in. We do a brief 5-minute review of the phosphorus cycle student work to see if the gap is closed. Responsibility falls on myself, and I would do that within a week of us completing that unit or the component for the phosphorus cycle. Thank you for your time, Ms. Ross. You have been a great help, and I hope this has also been a help for you. Thank you.